Hello, my friend, and welcome to Skin and Skill, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is the Celebrity Mental Health podcast where I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same mantra as me, whether you're watching or listening, click that follow button, leave a five-star rating, and let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today, when she first spoke to you, she told you to bog off. Yeah, literally. That's how she started. She was the one who opened up the conversations of what it's like to be in a foster home. And for me personally, I was lucky enough to meet her when I was 11 years old on a little cold Sunday morning at 7 a.m. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome to Skin and Skirt, our new favourite TikToker, the owner of the Dani Harmer Academy, a panto queen who can make the whole world come true. It's Miss Dani Harmer. Hello, Dani.
What an intro. I loved that. I met you when you were 11. I've just spouted so many grey hairs you would not believe.
Do you want to see the picture?
So badly, like you
Right.
would not believe.
And do you know what's and this is a really special picture actually for you, I think, more so than me, because this is the picture. And then, so for those that are listening, describe what you can see, because I think this was quite empirical
Oh
to your
my
career.
gosh. Is that Rochelle? Is that
Rochelle
Rochelle
Humes,
Humes of the Saturday's fame?
off of the set, yeah, but before the Saturdays, because she wasn't in the Saturdays when this picture was
Oh my
taken.
gosh. Yeah, hang on. What's the program? Oh my God. Yes, of course, because she presented that CBBC program and I was filling in for someone. Why on earth was I there? I'm not a presenter. Oh, what's the program? Smile.
It
Am I
was.
right?
You were right. That was
Wow,
Smile.
gosh. Am I on a quiz? Do I get points?
It was at the Capitol Studios in South London on a Sunday morning, and it was a brilliant show. It was where Ready Steady Cook was filmed. Then you were filling in for Barney Harwood, and this is 2005.
Oh my gosh. I'm old. I'm so old. Wow.
Well,
This is
that was my
cool.
first time I did a celebrity interview in 2005, age 11, 12. And it's amazing because you were there on the first ever time I did a celebrity interview. And then, like, obviously, now I've interviewed many, many, many celebrities. And it's always nice because I look back and go, it was Dani Harmer and Michelle Humes. That was the OG. So you're always going to be part of my celebrity interview journey.
Wow, I feel honored. I
You
feel
should do.
absolutely honored. Thank you.
Well, it was amazing because obviously prior to that, you'd obviously been in Tracy Beaker for a couple of years, and this is where
Mhm.
you kind of went from Tracy Beaker. And we'll obviously talk about Tracy Beaker, but it was the first
Obviously,
time
it would
you
be
went.
really weird if we didn't.
It would be, but that was the Tracy Beaker era of you as an actress, and this was the first time you became a presenter, and you had a book of a script because I've still got the script at home. It's thick, and it was the first time, yeah, that you started kind of going away from the acting and being this new face, and then obviously everything that happened afterwards. So, let's go backwards, I suppose, to get to that stage. Talk to me
Mhm.
about your childhood, growing up in Berkshire in the 90s, when you already knew very early on you wanted to be an actress, and yet there was this Danny Hum who still had to go to school. What was it about that show off gene that you had that you were like, I'm too good for school. I need to be on stage?
Ah, oh gosh, do you know what? I think my parents just were so supportive. I guess I was just like super lucky. And I grew up in a household that just was so encouraging. And I loved watching musicals. And I just knew from the minute I can remember that that's always what I wanted to do. Um, and I'd watch films like Oliver and Annie, especially Annie. I used to sit at my window and sing and pretend I was an orphan from the minute I can remember. And I used to put on little shows for my parents, my grandparents, and they just got so bored of watching them that they sent me off to like little drama classes just to try and get rid of my energy, I think, and just so they just didn't have to watch it. And then I think it just kind of spiraled from there. I think different drama teachers picked up the kind of passion inside of me and they could tell that it was something that I was actually taking seriously, even from as young as like 4 and 5. And I was going for auditions at the age of like 5 and 6 and just landing parts. And my first ever job was in a West End show, which was just crazy thinking back, like being in an original cast in Tommy in the West End and just like, you know, just chilling with like Pete Townsend. It's just like it's so mind blowing to think back now. Like I wish I could now experience that because as a 6 year old, I didn't know who Pete Townsend was. I was just going up to him and just like having a chat, My dad's there being like, that's Pete Townsend. Like, this is a really, really big deal. So it'd be so cool to like relive that all. But yeah, it feels like I kind of fell into it by accident, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I guess I'm just lucky, really.
What I love about what you just said is there's something that you just unleashed a memory for me, and it's what you said about Annie that used to just sit by the window. Um, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but if you ever see somewhere with a window in a bedroom and it's got that little sofa bit underneath it, right, where people read
Uh-huh.
books, I call that the Tracy Beaker chair. And there was a place in Brighton. I went to a hotel about 2 years
Yeah.
ago, and it had the Tracy Beaker chair. And it's just that thing of you
Yeah.
just sit by the ledge of the window as Tracy Beaker. I don't know. That just came to me as you said that.
I guess like yeah, I guess I was just always destined to stare out of windows.
See, this is what
Maybe
you've
that was
done to
it.
everyone. This is literally what you've done to people of my era of just staring outside a window and people think of you. Celebrity interviews, people think of you. Danny, I don't think you realise how inspirational you are. Um, let's talk about Tracy then. How did you get that first audition? And what do you remember that audition process? I know you were so young, but that
Mhm.
must have stayed in your head of I had to go into that audition room and be this Tracy Beaker.
To be honest, it didn't really feel like a big deal at the time because I was already, it sounds ridiculous to say at the age of 12, but I was already a working actor. So it didn't really feel like that big of a deal, to be honest. I mean, I was a huge Jacqueline Wilson fan. So from that point of view, it felt like, wow, Tracy Beaker was the one book I hadn't read. So there wasn't any like pressure from me to be like, wow, I love this character or anything like that. It just felt like another audition, to be honest. Apart from the fact the director in the room was Susan Tully, aka Michelle from EastEnders. That was a bloody big deal. I was super excited about that. But other than that, yeah, it's a bit of a boring story, to be honest with you, because I just went in and read the script like I would have done any other audition. Um, and it went very well because they asked me back, which was very nice. And then we got to the second round, if you will, and I got to read with some other characters. And you know there were more people in the room, producers, exec producers. Um, and yeah, then I felt like it all happened so fast. I remember after that recall, I think it was like a week later and I was doing some kind of show with my school or something like that, and my mum's phone went. And I just remember her face kind of lighting up, and she was like, "It's for you." And I was like, "Okay." So I took the phone, and there's Susan Tully, aka Michelle from EastEnders, on my mum's mobile. So my mum's wetting herself, thinking Michelle from EastEnders knows my phone number. And yeah, then she tells me I've got the part. And I'm there just like in standing in the middle of a field of my school being like, oh my gosh, I've just got the lead in a kids' TV program, which is what I've always wanted to do. Like that was kind of my dream. You know, I'd grown up watching things like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and programs like that. So that for me was like the pinnacle. Like I'd always wanted to like lead a kids show. So yeah, pretty iconic, really. And then the next thing she was like, right, where do you live? I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to bring all my sort of design plans that I have in mind. I'm going to talk you through all the characters and stuff like that. So my mom was like, oh my gosh, Michelle from EastEnders is coming to my house. We better get the posh biscuits. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And then from there, it kind of just this bizarre experience kind of happened. And here I am 25 years later, still talking about it. And it's just nuts. It's really, really nuts.
Did you think it would be such a phenomenon? Because obviously the book was massive, but then it
Yeah.
wasn't just the show. And obviously you had the spin-offs like The Dumping Ground, Tracy Beaker Returns, Mamma Mia, etc., etc. But I remember my sister used to buy the Tracy Beaker magazine that came out each Friday. It was a blue
Yeah.
magazine. And so you had the magazines. Then obviously you're in Panto World each year, and everyone is still talking about Tracy Beaker, like you say, 25 years later, that it wasn't just this little show that shone a light on a foster home that you probably wouldn't have known on, and also made like Elm Lodge seem like the best place ever. It was a fact of this is actually going to be part of the cultural identity to British television until the test of time.
Yeah, no, I had no idea it was going to be as big as it did become, and I'm so thankful that I thought that no one would watch it because the pressure would have just been too much. So I kind of just thought, you know what? the episode's like 15 minutes long. It's going out, after school. Who's going to watch this really? When I get back from school, all I'm interested in is grabbing a snack. Like I don't even put the TV on. So I was thinking, look, if even like five people watch that, great. Um, but it felt like literally overnight the world had watched it. I literally just got recognized straight away. It was bonkers. And then I think I realized what a huge impact it was having because kids TV back then was very different. I mean, it was very male dominated. It was very, I mean, I loved all of the programs, don't get me wrong. Big shout out to the Chucker Brothers, love them. But it was very kind of comedy, slapstick, very male heavy. And then along came Tracy, this big gobby female led character. And the program was really about something. And it was about, at the time, a very taboo subject. Why being in care was taboo. I still cannot get my head around. It did something, and we were hitting some really hard storylines. Was the program a perfect representation of care? No, absolutely not. It had massive, huge flaws. But it was giving some form of representation that wasn't there before. And that's why representation is so, so important. And that's why we need so many more care experience stories because it can't all rest on one character's shoulders. And that's why I think when we bought Tracy Beaker Returns, we kind of learned a lot from the original series, and we were able to kind of rectify some of the problems, and we were able to delve into the stories a lot more, especially because the episodes were a little bit longer. Um, and yeah, we need more stories for sure,
What do you think?
especially for the care experience
What
community.
what do you think the flaws were? Apart from obviously eating a worm, which obviously doesn't happen in real life, but apart from that, and singing lovely jubbly porridge and pretending you're in a pirate ship in a dream, what do you
Yeah.
think the big flaws were?
For me, the biggest gross thing which makes me feel sick, and it still happens to me to this day, is people come up to me and they're like, "Ah, I wanted to be in care because of you." And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that's so gross. That's absolutely not what the program was trying to do, for sure.
And if those want to go more about foster cares, there's books by Louise Allen, Casey Watson, and Kathy Glass, which are amazing, telling foster care stories, amazing, amazing
Absolutely.
leaders. What about you as a teenager, Danny? So that's
Mhm.
Tracy's side. What about you as Danny? Going through kind of an institution that it was, you had your filming days, you had your days where you had your tuition for schoolwork. How did you navigate the social side of it? Because, we look at a lot of American stars, for example, who are kid stars, and
Yeah.
we see how they ended up and the addictions they had and what it did to their mental health. What about your mental health, Danny, growing up through the industry here in Britain?
Well, I think what helps with the British is that we don't get paid that well. So we don't really have the money for the drugs and the alcohol. So that certainly helps for sure. But I can kind of see how some child stars go, off the rails for sure, because you kind of film this product and then it's put out there. And then you're kind of left to your own devices. There is no support. And that's what I'm really trying to change, like dramatically. Any young person that I have worked with knows that they can reach out to me and I will help them in any which way because I have been through it. And I would love to work out some kind of system that anyone has at least a buddy that they can reach out to because it's hard. I am just so thankful that back then there was no social media, so I didn't have to deal with that aspect because I think that young actors today, that's a whole other ball game because everyone is a critic and some critics are not very nice, and they don't mind telling you exactly where you went wrong. So I'm just glad back then I didn't have to deal with knowing the entire world's opinion on my face, my body, my acting abilities. I just kind of did my work, it went out on TV, and that was kind of that. Um, and again, I just had the best support system with my family, and had a great bunch of friends. And I have never really cared too much what people think of me. So that certainly helps. And I've been really lucky in terms of the fact that I've just kept working. So that too really helps. And I feel ever so sorry for people that um have fallen off the wagon and their careers haven't gone the way they intended, or they haven't had that support. It really sucks. It's awful.
It is awful. And like you say, you've had to keep up with the times and you have transitions. So the first big transition, as we mentioned before, was Smile, and you also did the Mighty Truck of Stuff, and you started doing some
Mhm.
more CBBC continuity in about 2005, 2006. And it's weird to think about you like that, because that was me in year 8, year 9 at school, and I can't remember what I did then. But how do you remember what it was like for you to transition from being the actress to being the presenter and being one of those faces of CBBC and going around with different repertoire when you'd been in such a little bubble of the Tracy Beaker world?
Yeah, I just remember it being like super fun, I think, more than anything. I just remember it being like, I'm just gonna take another like string to my bow almost and try and like learn as much as I can. Like I was always one of these like really nosy kids that just wanted to like learn as much as I can. And I think that's what's put me in good standing to be a director now, because I just took in as much information as possible. And that's what I really liked about presenting as well, and especially live presenting as well. There is nothing more nerve-wracking than doing live presenting. And I take my hat off to people that have done it for years and years and years, because I mean, I only did it occasionally, and oh my gosh, the adrenaline rush that you get from that. But it is terrifying. Like, there's a real skill to it. So yeah, I just love learning, to be honest.
You did the acting, you then did the
Mhm.
presenting, and then 2008 comes along. You've done 2 years of presenting, and you become a singer. I remember at the time thinking, this is going to be our version of Hannah Montana. You know, the fact that Tracy's going to come out, and you've got Tracy, you've got Dani, you've got Miley Cyrus, you've got Hannah Montana, and I thought this was going to be your moment, and we're going to start seeing Dani in a new light. How did you find that transition from a mental health perspective? Right, I've now got to be Dani, and I've got to be a bit of a rock chick, and everything that happened afterwards, basically.
Yeah, I hated it like so much. That was probably the most miserable I've ever been. That's when I saw a really rubbish side to the industry. The music industry, that's not for me. I didn't like what I saw, and I only got like a small glimpse into it. Um and yeah, I felt uncomfortable. I felt unvalued. I felt picked apart constantly. I was a tiny size 6 back then, and I was constantly being told that I needed to lose weight. It was awful. Like they were sewing masses amounts of hair into my head, even though my hair was absolutely fine. They were constantly trying to change my image. Um, they were constantly comparing me to Miley Cyrus, and it was driving me bananas, because I was like, I am literally my own person. I had no input whatsoever on any of the music that I was singing, and I didn't like any of the songs whatsoever, and it was nothing like what they were telling me it was going to be. So originally, when I agreed to do this kind of album, it was very much like, you're going to have so much input, we're going to write the music together, it's going to really come from you, you're going to get to speak about your experiences and all of this. And it wasn't. It was like, here's a batch of 20 songs that have already been written. Go and work your butt off in a studio for a few months, and we'll just rip your self-esteem apart until you feel really bad about yourself. Then we will send you out into the world. We won't really promote it. And then when it does really badly, you just won't hear from us ever again. So that was my experience, really. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy that very much. And I think if you ever see, I know there's like an interview going around at the minute where I'm talking about Miley Cyrus, I think, and I'm sort of a bit kind of like, yeah, Miley Cyrus, whatever, yeah, and I wish her well or something like this, which is ridiculous, because look at Miley Cyrus now. But I think I'm just so done. I'm like dead behind the eyes. I'm knackered because I'm working like a stupid amount of hours. And I'm just done. I'm done with the whole thing. I don't want to be there. I'm wearing clothes that I feel uncomfortable in. I'm feeling rubbish about myself. I'm tired. I'm drained, and I just don't want to be there. I don't believe in anything that I'm saying. I don't believe in any of the songs that I'm singing, and I just want out. Um, and yeah, It was just a not a nice experience for sure. And I've never been happier to have something fail as badly as that did, because it meant that I could fade it under the background. So whenever people like bring it up, I'm like, yeah, great, but I'm really glad that it did very badly, because that whole album can now just disappear into the background and it's fabulous.
I completely understand that. And, when someone gives you a compliment, and let's say you get 10 compliments and you get one negative comment, you're only going to remember that
Mhm.
one negative comment. And so when you've been in the industry for 15 years at this point, what does that then do to the way you look at the whole industry, not just music, but the presenting, the acting, and everything? Did it tarnish everything of going, I just don't want to be this known Dani Harmer, pre-social media, obviously. So I don't want to be this pre-Dani Harmer. My name has basically, my brand, the name above the door has been tarnished. I just want to work in a shop and just be away from any camera and anything. Or did it give you that spur of going, get me back to TV land? I feel safe there, and that's my home from home.
Yeah, it certainly made me want to get back into TV, but it did make me kind of question a lot. It kind of made me not trust people, which not necessarily a bad thing, because there's a lot of people in this industry that just shouldn't be trusted. But yeah, it definitely made me go, well, okay, we tried that. We ticked off the music industry. We shan't be doing that again. And yeah, so it just made me grow a thicker skin, I think. But it took a lot to rebuild that. Don't forget, I was a teenager. Like,
Mm.
it's different when you're a teen. You're already going through a lot as a teenager. Your hormones are a lot back then. You don't really know yourself at all. So to be picked apart like that, that's pretty brutal. You're already going through a lot. You're very self-conscious as a teenager. So yeah, it took a lot to build myself back up again. And had that happened now, I would have just told them where to go for
No, you'd have just told them
sure.
to bog off, because apparently that's acceptable language to teach
Ex
7-year-olds is to say bog off to people.
yes, bog off would have been the words I would use.
That's funny. At home, if you ever heard the word F off, you're like, did you say bog off? Yeah, yeah, we said
Yeah.
bog off. Right, yeah,
Yes,
okay,
that's
right.
what we said.
Hmm. So then you do Strictly Come Dancing once you've built up that
Yes.
armor in yourself. And you go on a show like that. And at that point, if everyone remembers TV time, X Factor was still quite big. And so it was either X Factor or Strictly that people watched.
Mhm.
And everyone was a critic with both shows. And
Yes.
you've gone through everything where in TV land you've been built up. And, I remember seeing you at the St. Albans Panto, I don't know when it was, maybe 2003, 2004, and
Hmm.
waiting by the stage door and waiting for you to come out. And it's what's really nice is in the Alban Arena, they've still got the poster of you there. Um,
Have they
yeah, I'll
really?
send it to you when I'm back. I go to that Panto still all these years later. I'll send you the
Oh,
thing
please
in
do.
December
But
when I'm there.
that was with lovely Leslie Grantham
I
as
loved
well.
Leslie. I was
Me
so
too.
sad when he died. And I got to
Me
know
too.
him kind of in the final 2 years. And I mean, he loved a gossip and he loved a bitch.
He really did. I had a lot of time for that man. I
Me
really
too.
did.
Me too. So I will send you that picture later in the year when it comes. But
Yeah, please.
you'd had all this love at the stage door. You'd had all this love with Tracy Beaker. Tracy Beaker was iconic, etc., etc. Then what you said about the music career, and then people start looking at Dani Harmon, going, "Well, who is she? Do we want to have the association of the celebrity, not you personally, but this brand?" Then Strictly Come Dancing comes along, and everyone's being a critic, and you've got to go on that dance floor as again Dani Harmon, not as Tracy Beaker. What did that do to you mentally based on your experiences in the music industry of going, yes, this is a TV show, but also there's a storyline to be told. And I don't know if the Danny that's being presented is the one that I want it to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think too much about it actually, to be
Really? You just
honest with
went,
you.
oh, Strictly Come Dancing, come in. Yeah, I'll do it. Fine.
Correct. I was like,
Really?
strictly, I get to wear pretty dresses and I get to, yes, absolutely, I'll do that. Honestly, I didn't give it a second's thought.
And was that
I
because it was a
didn't,
job for you? Was that just another job? That's going to be my 4 months, and I'll be paid, etc., etc.
no, it's strictly come dancing. Like, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I feel like you'd be nuts to turn that down. Like, I totally get why some people would, but I feel like with Strictly, it's like a safe one. I feel like if I got asked to do like Big Brother or like I'm a celeb or something. I feel like I would need to really think about that. Strictly,
Have you never
you're
been offered those?
no, not as of yet. I mean, I'm rumored every year to go in the jungle. I'm like, okay, where's my Australian holiday? Because it's yet to have landed in my emails. Come on, let's go. Let's go and eat a bug. But I'd have to seriously think about it. But with Strictly, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go and learn a new skill. That sounds absolutely great. Um, and with Strictly, I was at a time where I wasn't great mentally. Like I had I had built myself back up again, but my family heirloom being passed down to me is depression and anxiety. Thanks, guys. So I was at a point where I was like feeling a bit rubbish, and I just thought, Strictly, that sounds like a lovely idea. What, like, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and quite frankly, I just felt absolutely honoured to even be asked, because I don't think at that point anyway, many people from kids TV really get asked. So I was like, little old me, oh my goodness. And at that point, social media was quite new, and I didn't have like many followers or anything like that, so I didn't really feel like I had that kind of massive huge fan support behind me or anything like that. So I was like, look, I'll just go, I'll be voted out like within a couple of weeks anyway. I'll probably get a foxtrot in, and then I'll be off, and that'll be fine. um so yeah, I didn't really think about it, if I'm completely honest, but my goodness, wow, what an experience. Like, crazy experience, but yeah, wild. So much fun though, like so much fun.
And is that because you did it pre-social media, pre there being such exposure onto it? Whereas now, if you go on Strictly, it's the Strictly curse. It's the every little bit about the celebrities' lives, and it's not just a case of it's just you doing your foxtrot.
Oh, we got picked apart. Like, it was pretty brutal. Like, that was my first encounter, don't forget, of being on prime TV in front of millions of people. I went from having like 1,000 followers on Twitter at the time to having hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. And I was at the time a huge size 6. Would you believe it? Ginormous. And I was getting called fat, chubby. Oh my God, she looks grotesque in them dresses. Look at them cankles. Look at the back rolls. And that's the first time I've ever dealt with trolls. So yeah, we got really pulled apart on that program. So yeah, that's my first encounter really of being big on social media, and yeah, having to encounter negativity really, because before that, every time I go out, everyone's so nice to me because I remind them of that childhood. So everyone's so lovely. So that's kind of the first time I've ever really encountered any kind of hate, was when I was doing Strictly. So it was kind of a bit of a rude awakening, to be honest with you. And it was pretty hard to deal with at first. But I had the support of all of the amazing other celebs who were like, yeah, we've dealt with that for years. Like, who cares? Who are these people? Why are you listening to them? Like, why do you care about Bob from Tunbridge Wells? Like, who is he? Like, why do you care if he's calling you fat? He's a no one. He's literally spending his Saturday nights telling you look fat when you clearly do not. And, they really helped me through it. And by like week 3, week 4, I didn't give a hoot what anyone was telling me about, and I still don't care to this day. I just block and I don't respond.
What a
And that's how
way.
I
I
deal
love
with it
that.
now.
And so all that resilience you've built up and all the
Hmm.
experiences in the dancing, the presenting, the acting, the singing, you then open the Dani Harmer Academy, which is coming up to 12 years. When you look back at what that academy has done for the next generation, what's the most proudest moment you've had so far with that?
Oh my gosh, I've had so many, but I think for me is when a child, and this has happened quite a few times, first joins us and they can't even say hello to us because they're so shy. And then a couple months later, and it is literally, and they're stood on stage in front of hundreds of people, and they're singing their hearts out, having the best time ever. And they come up and they just give you the biggest hug, and it's just the most beautiful thing to witness, is just watching someone's confidence grow. that to me is just, ah, I've done my job. That just makes me so happy. I just have the most wonderful teachers at my academy, and they do such an amazing job. And just to see kids get so passionate about the arts, it just makes me so happy because it's the first thing that gets cut at schools because of the funding and everything. It just makes me so sad, because like me, I wasn't academic at all. So if I didn't have the arts, I don't know where I'd be.
And finally, Dani, one more question for you. Obviously, in the past couple of years, we've seen you reunite with Peter, we've seen you reunite with Justine, we've seen you reunite with Elaine the Pain. Can we see the ultimate episode of Tracy Beaker 20 years later on BBC One? That's all of you back at Elm Lodge just watching old videos of the OG days with you and Lowell and Bouncer and Zach and Ryan and Crash and Abby and all that. Just one big Tracy Beaker fest for the OG fans.
Do you know what? I would love nothing more. Honestly, a reunion has been on the cards for so many years. We just need someone to organise it because it's not going to be me. I refuse. I can't even get my kids ready in the morning, and there's only two of them. So the thought of trying to get, like, basically at this point hundreds of kids together, and we're all dotted all around the country. Yeah, I would love nothing more than for us all to be in the one room. It would be an absolute riot. It would be so much fun. Yeah, maybe like the 30th anniversary. That would be so cool. So yeah, definitely in the future.
Oh, please, can we do it? I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen in lockdown. You know, when you had like the Desperate Housewives did a big reunion, I wanted it for Tracy Beaker.
Oh, that would be so fun. Maybe you should organise it.
Would you be up for it if I organised it? If I did a Zoom, right, of like we did in lockdown, if I arranged a Zoom one day, but a Tracy Beaker mass reunion, can I tell everyone Dani Harmer's going to be on it? Everyone else join.
There we go. Done. But it would be better if we just threw a massive party somewhere, though.
Yeah, but everyone needs to see this. There's no point you doing a party in private. We need to all be able to see these clips.
That's very true. Very true.
I will arrange a party, and we'll all sit and watch the original series together. How about that? And then you can all grab a
Sold.
party afterwards. Fine, there we go.
Sold.
So there we go. Dani, I can't thank you enough. You can find out more about the Dani Harmer Academy by visiting DaniHarmerAcademy.com. You're Miss Dani J Harmer on Instagram, and obviously you're a TikTok star now, which I can't believe what happened to your numbers. You know, you went, hey, I'm on TikTok. TikTok replied, you got 300,000 followers overnight. You got like 6 million views of people going, I'm here, hi. I'm like, what? I can't even get 100 views on my TikToks. What's going on?
I should have joined earlier, shouldn't I? Like, honestly, I still have no idea what I'm doing on there, though, guys. But yeah, feel free to follow me and watch me just waffle on with my cups of coffee. That's pretty much all I do on there, to be
Well,
honest.
no, you've got into smoothies now. You know, it's not just coffees anymore.
Yeah, that didn't go so well, but you never know. I might try and master that at some point.
Oh, Danny, I can't thank you enough. You can find me on social media at Johnny Seifert, at Skid and Skid Podcast, and on TikTok at Johnny Seifert 92. I put teasers of all the old episodes. And if you love CBBC like I do, and you're part of my era with Danny, there are episodes of Skid and Skid in the library with Katie Hill, Connie Huck, Angelica Bell, Junior Hansen, Kirsten O'Brien, Paul Chuckle, to name a few, and also Andrew Hayden Smith is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Keep your eyes on that. And like I said to you, Louise Allen, Kathy Glass, Casey Watson, an amazing foster carers who've got loads of books between them if you want to know more about the foster care industry. I'm Johnny Seifert. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.